Peace and blessings. My name is Eraka Rouzorondu, and I'm CEO of Ma'at Enterprises. Welcome to the first of my 6-part series entitled COVID-19, Navigating the Transition. My unique approach will apply ancient wisdom to the experience being called the COVID-19 pandemic. I developed this series because too many of us are being consumed by an understandable but unnecessary level of fear and anxiety. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. In many ways, that choice is being made for us. Fear is being deliberately incubated and sustained. Many of us are consciously clinging to fear and anxiety because we confuse those states of being with passion or vitality, or because we believe we're supposed to respond to challenges with fear and anxiety, especially life-threatening challenges. But always, fear is a choice. This series will focus exclusively on your personal empowerment as an individual human being, without regard to race or gender, citizenship, or any other identifier. It was inspired by my conversations with people, family, friends, colleagues, former students, about COVID-19. They've often remarked about my sense of self and my sense of peace in the midst of this pandemic, but I didn't wake up this way. I did the work. And this series is designed to show you how to arrive at and maintain a personal space of peace and power. In this segment, you'll gain an understanding of what I mean by wielding the legacy of ancient Egyptian religion, science, and philosophy, applying yesterday's wisdom to today. In segment 2, you'll build upon that foundation to strengthen your perception of your own personal reality. Segment 3 will empower you to determine your personal truth about this experience, the COVID-19 pandemic. In segment 4, you'll learn specific techniques for defending your consciousness against the imposition of truths other than your own. The techniques shared in segment 5 will empower you to master your own consciousness and to live by your personal truth. And in the final segment, you'll use your fortified power of choice to create your self-determined life in the new normal that is to come. Do you believe that humans are spiritual beings having a material existence? Or do you believe that humans are beings of measurable energy? If you answered yes to either or both of those questions, you're in the right place. Now, if you answered no to either or both of those questions, I have a special invitation for you. 40 years ago, when I was obviously still an embryo, I would have answered both of those questions no, maybe even hell no, because I didn't have the information I needed to answer them intelligently. But every time I said no to a question of spirituality or human energy, I had a split second of inner turmoil, as though I knew there was something I didn't know. Later on, something happened that made me give in to the truth that I wanted to say yes, that I envied and admired people who said yes to that side of reality. If, however, like me, you're saying no now, but you really want to say yes, I invite you to take this journey with me. It just might serve you. The ancient Egyptians had one of the first, the longest lasting, and the most highly developed human civilization in history. Their government and social structure was so phenomenal that even when they were militarily conquered, the conquerors stepped into that structure. And their science and religion so advanced that its practitioners were worshipped as gods. In my course, The Awakening, Transformation of Racial Consciousness for African Americans, I go into great detail about that social structure and that religious foundation, which is documented as being fully formed at 4000 BC. Egyptian government, social structure, science, religion, and philosophy had one foundational concept, Ma'at. Most people identify Ma'at as a set of rules or principles. I perceive Ma'at to be a single concept, truth, an unwavering commitment to truth. Metaphysically, Ma'at was represented by the goddess Ma'at, who facilitates the judgment of the human soul after death by measuring whether your declarations about your life are true. Metaphysically, the principle of Ma'at weighs the heart. Physically, this principle was literally represented by the law. Individual, religious, and societal law. Even the Pharaoh was beholden to Ma'at. Adherence to law begins with thought and the energy generated by your thoughts' alignment with or distance from the truth. Physically, Ma'at weighs the energy of the mind. The Egyptians believed literally that the reason we're here on earth, the purpose of your and my existence, is to master that energy, to elevate it and maintain it at its highest possible level. The modern day legacy of Ma'at dictates that you and I are not having a viral pandemic. You and I are having an experience being called the COVID-19 pandemic as a challenge to us as individual human beings and as a human species, and that what matters most is how you and I master our minds, our bodies, and our spirits to rise to meet that challenge. It may be difficult for you to embrace the concept that we're having an experience, not a pandemic, and that the person you should be focused on right now the most is you. You may be a parent with a family depending on you, or an adult child with a high-risk relative you're caring for. But remember, when you stand before the scales of Ma'at, you stand alone. And the laws of Ma'at weigh your mind and your heart. So even as you fulfill your roles or responsibilities, do so from a position of personal truth and power. I'm sure it's even harder to embrace this concept if you're hearing these words through the pain of sorrow, if you've lost someone to the physical conditions attributed to COVID-19. I can't say I know how you feel, but I can say that your pain is part of the reason that I produced this series. If your bereavement is too resonant right now for you to hear these words, I understand and wish you peace. But if you can hear these words, hear this. The legacy of Ma'at lets us know that life is not about death. Death is about life. It's the energy created by the life of the person that you loved that matters most, and that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. That means it's also about your energy, and I believe that he or she would want you to focus at this time on your energy and your life, and live that life to the fullest and most powerful extent possible. That is a principle that can stand in the force of grief. That is a truth worthy of your commitment. There is a difference between what is occurring and what is happening. What is occurring is a global, social, political, and economic upheaval that is being associated with a virus called COVID-19. What's happening is that the planet as an entity and humans as a social species are undergoing a transition into a 21st century existence that is a direct result of all that happened and all that did not happen in the 20th century. What is happening is a transition. The ancient Egyptians foretold this transition thousands and thousands of years ago, and both science and religion have been retelling that forecast ever since. If you hold as a principle that we are spiritual beings having a material existence, then the COVID-19 pandemic is a spiritual experience. If you hold as a principle that we are humans that are beings of measurable energy, then the COVID-19 pandemic is a measure of human energy. A principle is only a principle if it continues to control your thoughts, words, and deeds when challenged. Otherwise, it's just a belief. Whatever you concentrate on concentrates. Those of us who choose to navigate this experience as the COVID-19 pandemic will likely concentrate on fear and death. Those of us who choose to navigate it as a transition into a new global reality will likely concentrate on courage and life. This series is intended to empower you to make that choice. In segment 2, we'll dive right into precisely what I mean by this empowerment and start to determine who you're going to be during this experience. Between now and then, I'm going to ask you to contemplate the messages in this segment. Remember, you don't have to even believe in this approach at this point. You only have to want to. Email me at power@maatenterprises.com and I'll send you your free reminder. It's an outline of the information in this segment. And because this is a recording, don't just spectate. Post your comments below, your questions, your feedback, your information, so that I can serve you better and we can serve each other by sharing knowledge and information. I hope you'll join me for the remaining segments of COVID-19, navigating the transition. Until we reconnect, peace and power.